I'm currently considering how to weave the provided ingredients, probiotics, digestive enzymes, fermented foods, tempeh and miso, into the fabric of a soft novel. The challenge now lies in finding a compelling narrative structure that integrates these elements naturally. I've been working on structuring the narrative as short chapters, each centered on one ingredient. Right now, I'm focusing on probiotics, imagining them as friendly squatters transforming a desolate gut into a lively community. The humor is shaping up nicely, with ideas like live, laugh, love signs. I'm aiming for a smooth transition from a lonely gut to a thriving ecosystem. Now to describe how enzymes break down molecules into smaller pieces. I'm now focusing on digestive enzymes as culinary ninjas, slicing through macronutrients with high-ya precision, bringing peace to a panicked stomach. This is a contrast between a heavy meal and the swift actions of the ninjas to achieve a feeling of lightness. My goal is to capture the initial dread of a huge burrito, then to contrast it with the arrival of the enzymes dressed in black turtlenecks. The gut is now unstressed. I'm now conceptualizing fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut as funky therapists hosting a group therapy session for a stressed microbiome. I'm exploring the humor in the sour taste and smell of these foods, portraying them as a therapy session. The funky breath could signify healing, and I imagine bacteria sitting together in a circle, sharing their feelings. Now, I'm working with tempeh, and the idea of it being a sturdy, dependable cousin to tofu is taking shape. I'm building on this metaphor to represent its solid texture and complete protein profile. I'm focusing on the contrast with tofu's softer nature. The humor is becoming the image of the tempeh cousin who helps me move into a new apartment and carries all the heavy boxes. I'm now characterizing miso as a comforting umami hug for cold or sad days. My focus is on the emotional warmth it provides, with a touch of humor regarding the salty warning, like a friend's cheeky advice. I'm visualizing the stirring of the paste, the swirling nebula of soup, and its reassuring savory whisper. I'm now striving to smooth out the transitions between these distinct metaphorical styles, aiming for a cohesive narrative voice. While the digestive ninjas and funky therapists are fun, I need to ensure they blend seamlessly without jarring shifts in tone. I'm focusing on unifying the overall feeling of a soft novel. My intestines used to feel like an abandoned warehouse, echoey, drafty, and frankly a little spooky. I was eating, but the vibes were off. The local residents, my native bacteria, were listless, sitting around playing solitaire on overturned crates. I decided to gentrify the neighborhood. I took a probiotic. It was like a bus pulled up and unloaded 50 billion friendly hippies. They didn't sign a lease, and they certainly don't pay rent, but they are the best squatters I've ever had. They immediately started hanging tapestries of mucosal health and lighting incense of metabolic balance. "Hey man," one of the lactobacillus bacteria said to a grumpy native microbe, "you look stressed. Have some serotonin." Now, my gut isn't an empty warehouse, it's a bustling commune. Sure, it's crowded, but the rent is free, the energy is good, and they've done wonders with the place. I have a tendency to look at a large meal, say a bean burrito the size of a human infant, and panic. My stomach looks at it and whispers, "I can't do this alone, Barbara." We both know the aftermath, the sluggishness, the bloat, the regret. We are not equipped for heavy lifting. That's when I call in the special ops team, the digestive enzymes. They drop into my stomach like culinary ninjas dressed in black turtlenecks. They don't ask questions, they just work. With swift microscopic katanas, they approach the daunting macronutrients. Chop, slice, dice. They turn a complex protein chain into a bite-sized peace offering that my small intestine can actually handle. Thanks to their covert operation, I can eat the burrito and leave the table feeling like a ninja myself, rather than a parade float.
For a long time, I treated salt like an ex-boyfriend I was trying to avoid at a grocery store. I pretended it didn't exist. My food was virtuous, sure, but it was also deeply, profoundly sad. Eating an unsalted avocado is less of a meal and more of a punishment for a crime you don't remember committing. I felt washed out, literally and metaphorically. Then I reconciled with sodium, but this time we set boundaries. Sodium is the mediator at the negotiation table of dinner. He sits between the potato and the palate and says, "Let's not raise blood pressure, let's raise standards." He doesn't shout, he just enhances. A pinch here, a sprinkle there, and suddenly the tomatoes are singing an aria. My mood lifted instantly. It turns out it's hard to be emotionally fulfilled when your soup tastes like hot dishwater. A little savory sparkle reminds me that life is supposed to have flavor, not just texture. I have a tendency to stub my toes, both physically on the coffee table and emotionally on my own feelings. I wander through the dim hallways of my psyche, squinting, trying to figure out if that shadow in the corner is a genuine problem or just a pile of laundry I haven't folded. I was operating in the dark. I needed the paparazzi. I needed the carrots. Beta-carotene acts like a relentless team of photographers for my retinas, their flashbulbs popping to illuminate the night. I started crunching on the orange roots, and slowly, the mental fog cleared. The carrot paparazzi shouted, "Watch out for that insecurity on the left," and "Step over that existential dread on the right." My night vision improved to the point where I could navigate a midnight snack run without injury, and more importantly, I could see my problems coming from a mile away, giving me plenty of time to politely step around them. My cells are celebrities, they are famous, they are hardworking, and they are constantly being hounded by the tabloids, otherwise known as free radicals. These oxidative pests follow my cells around, snapping unflattering photos and trying to break down their membranes with scandalous rumors about aging. I felt exposed. I felt fragile. I hired a bodyguard. His name is Vitamin E. He's thick, he's oil-based, and he wears a tuxedo made of sunflower seeds and almonds. He stands in front of my delicate cell walls and holds up a hand. "No photos today, folks," he rumbles. He escorts my mitochondria through the crowded club of my metabolism, shielding them from the flashbulbs of stress and pollution. Knowing he's on the payroll makes me feel safe. I can walk through a smoggy city or a stressful week knowing my internal entourage is handling security. I have come to learn that bad cholesterol, LDL, has a massive ego. It thinks it owns the place. It struts up to the receptors in my digestive tract like it's on the VIP guest list, expecting to be let in so it can clog up the dance floor. It's rude, frankly. Phytosterols are the genius impersonators I hired to prank the bad cholesterol. They look exactly like cholesterol, same haircut, same suit, but they are polite plant compounds. They rush into the club first and take all the seats. When the real bad cholesterol arrives, the bouncer shrugs and says, "Sorry, we're at capacity. Your twin is already sitting at the bar." The bad cholesterol has to leave in a huff. It's a masterful bait and switch. My heart feels lighter knowing there's a benign plant sitting in the chair that would have been occupied by an artery-clogging jerk. My hormones used to hold heated debates in the parliament of my brain. "We should cry," one would scream. "No, we should be enraged by the way that person chewed their gum," another would counter. It was a riot. I needed a diplomat. I didn't need someone to yell, "Calm down," because that never works. I needed someone to just listen. Enter the isoflavones, the soy-based ambassadors. They are the anti-mansplainers of biology. They glide into the estrogen receptors and simply occupy the space with a calming, non-reactive presence.
I'm now diving into the task, focusing on the core request, transforming nutrient concepts into a first-person narrative, soft novel style. Currently, I'm analyzing how to best blend these scientific elements into a coherent and engaging story. The goal is to make it approachable like a soft novel while being accurate. I'm now zeroing in on a humorous tone, focusing on emotional well-being. Currently, I'm analyzing the effectiveness of metaphors for biotin, like a hype squad or a glam team, aiming for cozy vibes. My draft describes biotin as an internal glam team whispering "Yas Queen" to my cuticles. I'm now focusing on electrolytes, picturing HQ for hydration, emission control. I'm imagining a scenario where I'm crying over a commercial and feeling dried out like a raisin. I'm drafting a humorous take on the salty nature of tears and sweat, and the balance electrolytes bring, making me feel plump and happy, like a grape. Now I'm envisioning the iron and vitamin C pairing as a smooth jazz duo or a perfect date aiding a heavy door to open. I'm drafting the idea that iron is a bit stubborn and vitamin C is the smooth operator. It's synergy, like a smooth saxophone solo. The enhanced absorption of iron feeling smooth. I'm now integrating the concept of phytic acid into the narrative, seeing it as the plant's defense mechanism, a cautious bouncer. My draft includes a scenario where I'm eating oats or beans and realizing that they are fighting back a little bit. It's humorous, like respecting the plant's right to say no, treating it like a negotiation based on consent. I'm focusing on the soft novel tone, making the humor feel organic. I'm revisiting the electrolyte scenario, deepening the connection between the raisin feeling and sad moments. I'm also refining the iron-vitamin C analogy, envisioning them as a smooth jazz duo with iron anchoring the bass and vitamin C taking the saxophone lead. Finally, I'm developing the phytic acid narrative, framing the plants as having healthy boundaries rather than being antagonistic. I used to wake up looking like I had lost a fight with a tumbleweed. My hair was confused, my nails were apologetic, and my skin looked like it wanted to file a formal complaint. I needed a glam team, I needed a squad, I needed biotin. Biotin is the hype squad that lives in my follicles. But they aren't loud. They don't blow air horns at 6 o'clock a.m. Instead, they are the quiet, supportive type of friends who whisper, Yaz, look at that keratin structure while I'm sleeping. They work behind the scenes, strengthening the infrastructure of my vanity. Now, when I wake up, I have that effortless, I woke up like this vibe. Okay, maybe I still have pillow lines on my face, but my hair has a bounce that suggests it knows its worth. My fingernails finally feel strong enough to scratch a lottery ticket without breaking, which is really the ultimate test of resilience. I am an emotional sweater. I sweat when I run, I sweat when I'm nervous, and I definitely lose fluids when I cry over commercials featuring old dogs finding forever homes. After these events, I usually feel like a raisin, shriveled, sweet, but undeniably dry. I needed a manager. I needed electrolyte balance. This is the Fluid Management HQ located in my kidneys. Code red, the sodium shouts after a particularly sad movie. We are losing water weight. Deploy the potassium. They scramble to keep my internal oceans level. They ensure I don't turn into dried fruit. Rebalancing my electrolytes feels like slowly inflating a pool floaty. The wrinkles smooth out, the energy returns, and I go from being a shriveled raisin back to a plump, happy grape, ready to face the next emotional hurdle or treadmill with plenty of juice. Iron is heavy, it's clunky. It's the friend who shows up to the party wearing hiking boots and a backpack, standing awkwardly in the doorway of my intestines, unsure if he should come in. He needs a smooth talker to get him past the threshold. He needs vitamin C. My digestive system used to function like a nightclub with no bouncer and no guest list. It was chaotic. Sometimes it was empty for days. Other times it was a riot. I felt heavy, sluggish, and frankly unorganized. I realized I couldn't manage the venue alone. I needed a professional. I needed Fiber. Fiber is the high-end event planner of the gut. She walks in wearing a headset and holding a clipboard, looking at the mess in my intestines with a critical eye. Okay, people, she shouts at the lentils and kale. Let's keep this moving. No loitering in the colon. We have a schedule to keep. She rolls out the red carpet, ensuring that every meal has a dignified entrance and, more importantly, a punctual and triumphant exit. The after-party is no longer a surprise event that happens at inconvenient times. It is a regular, scheduled gala. I feel lighter, cleaner, and deeply grateful that someone else is handling the logistics down there. I used to look at a potato with suspicion. You're just going to turn into sugar and ghost me, I'd accuse it. But then I learned about the shy potato, the cold potato, the resistant starch. This is the introvert of the carbohydrate family. While simple sugars are dancing on the tables of my blood glucose levels, resistant starch pulls its hoodie up, puts on sunglasses, and sneaks past the bouncers in the small intestine. Don't look at me, it whispers, slipping unnoticed into the back room, the colon. That's where the real party is. The bacteria down there are waiting. When resistant starch arrives, the microbes gather around like teenagers sharing secrets. They ferment, they gossip. It's a subterranean social club that I'm not invited to, but I can feel the vibes. My stomach feels settled, knowing that the shy carb found its people, and they are having a wonderful time talking about me behind my back. I used to think my gut was just a dark tube where food went to die. I didn't realize it was actually a literary salon. After the resistant starch and fiber have been consumed, my microbes don't just burp, they create art. They produce short-chain fatty acids. These are the love letters of the microbiome. My bacteria sit at their tiny desks, dipping quills into inkwells of butyrate, writing soothing poetry to my intestinal walls. Inflammation falls, like autumn leaves in the wind. Peace is here to stay. They slide these molecular haikus into my bloodstream. As they circulate, I feel the angry red heat of internal stress cool down into a soft blue calm. It is incredibly moving to realize that deep inside my torso, millions of tiny organisms are working tirelessly to write me a happy ending. I live alone, but biologically I have trillions of roommates, and let me tell you, they are needy. If I don't feed them what they want, they get cranky and start knocking on the walls, bloating. I realized I had to stop eating just for me and start stocking the pantry for them. I needed prebiotics. Prebiotics are the specific snacks my microbial tenants crave. I eat a stalk of asparagus or a clove of garlic, not just for the flavor, but to slide a treat under their door. It's like hiding a candy bar under a mattress. Here you go, little guys, I whisper as I swallow some dandelion greens. Don't tell the stomach acid. Down in the basement, I imagine them cheering, tearing open the wrappers of inulin and oligofructose. They feast, they multiply, and they keep the noise down. I am essentially a landlord buying peace and quiet with onions, and it is worth every penny.
I'm now diving into the concepts themselves: collagen builders, MSM, silica, electrolytes, and potassium. I'm focusing on how to present them in a soft, novel, first-person narrative. My initial aim is to understand these concepts thoroughly. I'm now building on the initial exploration, and the current progress involves developing the narratives for each concept. Specifically, I'm working to expand the one-sentence descriptions into short chapters, employing humor and emotional angles. For collagen builders, I'm likening them to interior decorators for skin, while MSM gets to be a joint whisperer. The goal is to make the information both engaging and memorable. I'm now personifying the concepts. For knees, MSM is the joint whisperer, helping me to move with grace. Silica is now mineral confetti, a party for hair and skin that's fixing my dullness. Electrolytes are friendship bracelets connecting my nerves and muscles, fixing miscommunications. Potassium is a banana-flavored Zen master, lowering the drama. I'm developing the potassium narrative, imagining it as a calm, banana-flavored Zen master offering simple advice: eat a banana. The humor comes from the banana's shape and the K, symbol, while the emotional angle is de-escalation and finding inner peace. Now, I'm refining the voice, focusing on gentle language and ensuring the humor remains light-hearted. I'm checking for continuity in the first-person perspective. The electrolytes friendship bracelets are now salty, and potassium is diffusing the blood pressure soap opera. I woke up one morning and looked in the mirror, only to realize my face was suffering from structural ennui. My skin wasn't sagging exactly, it was just lounging. It looked like a sofa that had been sat on too many times. I realized the collagen scaffolding was taking a nap. Since I couldn't just borrow collagen from a cow, rude, I had to hire a construction crew. Enter vitamin C and silica, the interior decorators of my dermis. They arrived with swatches and big ideas. Vitamin C is the visionary architect shouting, "We need more light in here! We need structure!" Silica is the contractor, carrying the bamboo lumber to make it happen. Together, they didn't just patch the cracks, they renovated the whole vibe. Now, my skin feels like a mid-century modern home, structurally sound, open concept, and with excellent feng shui. I touch my cheek and feel the elasticity of a well-built house, one that isn't going to crumble just because I frowned at an email. My knees have always been a bit vocal. For years, walking up a flight of stairs sounded less like exercise and more like a rhythm section warming up. Snap, crackle, pop. My joints were basically playing crunchy maracas, performing a salsa beat of inflammation with every step. It was embarrassing to try to sneak up on people when my ankles were announcing my arrival like a town crier. I needed a mediator. I needed the joint whisperer. MSM is a sulfur compound, which sounds intense, but is actually a gentle therapist for cartilage. I started taking it, and it sat my knees down for a serious talk. "Listen," MSM whispered soothingly, "you don't have to scream to be heard. You are loved. You are lubricated." Slowly, the percussion section quieted down. The maracas were put away. Now, I glide through life with the stealth of a ninja, or at least a very quiet librarian. My knees and I are finally on speaking terms, rather than shouting terms. I went through a phase where I felt beige. Not the chic, minimalist beige, but the cardboard box left in the rain beige. My hair was lackluster, and my nails were about as strong as a wet napkin. I needed sparkle. I needed a reason to celebrate. I needed silica, derived from bamboo. Bamboo is the party animal of the plant world. It grows 3 feet in a night just because it can. Ingesting silica was like tossing a handful of mineral confetti into my bloodstream. It turned my maintenance routine into a gala. "Every strand of hair gets a balloon," Silica shouted. "Every fingernail gets a glow stick." It's a constant state of internal festivity. My nails are now strong enough to open a soda can without fear, which is the modern-day equivalent of wielding a sword.
Here is the next chapter in our physiological saga, featuring the hype team, the chaperones, and the bouncers of the supplement world. I love turmeric, I really do, but let's be honest, turmeric is a bit of a diva. She shows up to the party in my stomach, looks around and says, "The lighting here is terrible, I'm leaving." She refuses to work, she refuses to absorb, she is ready to exit the building without signing a single autograph for my inflammation. That is why I hired Black Pepper. Piperine is the ultimate hype man. He bursts into the room, grabs the microphone and screams, "Give it up for turmeric." He sets off a biochemical glitter cannon. He locks the exit doors so turmeric has to stay and perform. With just a tiny pinch of pepper, the bioavailability skyrockets. Suddenly, the golden spice is stage diving into my bloodstream, crowd surfing on my red blood cells. It's a chaotic duo, but without the hype man, the show would be over before it began. My stomach is an anxious creature. It gets butterflies over everything. Emails, turbulence, the concept of the future. It does gymnastics, but not the graceful kind. More like the flailing in a foam pit kind. I needed a coach, I needed a cheerleader, I needed ginger. I chewed on a piece of crystallized ginger, and the spicy warmth hit my belly like a pep talk. Ginger is the cheerleader who does backflips in my gastric acid. Give me a G, give me an I, give me a break from this nausea, she chants. She is full of rooty puns. I'm rooting for you, she yells as she calms the indigestion. Let's approach this gingerly. It's cheesy, yes, but that warm, spicy hug in my midsection convinces my stomach to stop doing panic somersaults and settle into a nice, calm split. Sugar is the unruly teenager of my metabolism. Left to its own devices, glucose rushes into my bloodstream, cranks up the music, trashes the place, and then crashes on the sofa 2 hours later. It's exhausting. I needed supervision. I needed a chaperone. I sprinkled cinnamon on my oatmeal. It smelled like Christmas and authority. Cinnamon is the strict but fair chaperone at the high school dance of digestion. He stands by the punch bowl with his arms crossed. Slow down, he tells the glucose molecules. Leave some room for Jesus, and by Jesus, I mean insulin sensitivity. He forces the sugar to slow dance. There is no moshing allowed. Thanks to cinnamon, my energy levels don't spike and crash, they waltz. It's a much more civilized event, and nobody passes out under the bleachers. Life is loud. My cortisol levels are constantly trying to scream over the music. We are stressed, they yell at 2:00 p.m. Everything is an emergency. It's like being in a club where the DJ is playing Panic Attack on repeat. I didn't want to leave the club, I have bills to pay, but I needed to control the volume. I took my ashwagandha, I hired the bouncers. Adaptogens are the cool, calm security team wearing earpieces. They don't knock you out, they just modulate the room. When cortisol tries to scream, the ashwagandha steps in, places a large hand on its shoulder and says, "Sir, you need to lower your voice." They ask the stress to use its indoor voice. The panic subsides. The music changes to a lo-fi chill hot beat. I am still awake, still functioning, but the internal screaming has been politely escorted out the back door. I woke up feeling small, not physically, but spiritually. I felt like a lowercase I in a world of all caps. I needed something ancient. I needed something that grows in the high Andes where the air is thin and the plants are tough. I put a scoop of maca powder in my smoothie. It tastes like malted dirt, but in a way that suggests the dirt knows the secrets of the universe. Maca is the mountainous life coach that high-fives my hormones. You are a warrior, Maca shouts, absorbing into my system. You can climb mountains, or at least you can answer that difficult text message. It's a scoop of pure, earthy swagger. Suddenly my posture improves, my confidence stabilizes, I feel a connection to the earth and a sudden, inexplicable belief that I am actually very cool. It's the kind of self-esteem you usually have to pay a therapist for, but this one comes from a root vegetable.